Focus on yourself and watch everything fall into place by sculpted grace. Introduction: the quiet work within. There comes a point when noise stops helping you, when advice feels like static, when scrolling feels like running on a treadmill that never moves. That's when you finally begin to understand what the Stoics were pointing at all along, that peace and progress begin not with the world, but within yourself. The ancient philosophers didn't live in quiet temples. They lived in cities as chaotic as ours, markets shouting, politics boiling, ambitions colliding. And yet, through all of it, they spoke of something rare, a stillness that doesn't depend on circumstances. That stillness, they said, comes from focusing your attention inward, on what you can control, what you can build, what you can understand. When you focus on yourself, the outside world begins to align naturally. It's not magic, it's alignment. Because once your thoughts, actions, and values move in the same direction, life starts to respond with coherence. You no longer chase validation. You no longer beg for direction. You become the architect of your own state of mind. In this journey, we'll explore 12 Stoic lessons, habits of thought and action that help you focus inward and dominate the chaos around you. Each is simple, each is ancient, and each one, if lived, will make the coming year less about control and more about command. Let's begin. Lesson 1. Control what you can, release what you can't. Everything in life divides cleanly into two piles, the controllable and the uncontrollable. Epictetus built his entire philosophy around that line, and the moment you accept it, peace begins. You can't control the economy. You can't control other people's moods. You can't control what happens next week or next year, but you can always control what you think, how you act, and how you choose to interpret what happens to you. That's the foundation of Stoicism and the starting point of personal power. Most people live the other way around. They pour their energy into outcomes they can't command, waiting for approval, fearing rejection, worrying about things that haven't happened. And when those things inevitably slip out of their grasp, they collapse. But the Stoic learns early that serenity doesn't come from having everything go right. It comes from responding rightly when everything goes wrong. Imagine a ship caught in a storm. The sailor can't calm the sea, but he can tighten the ropes, adjust the sails, and hold the wheel. That's what control means. When you focus on your small circle of influence, you make that circle powerful. When you scatter your energy across the whole world, you make yourself weak. In your daily life, practice this habit quietly. When you face stress, ask, is this within my control? If it is, act. If it isn't, let go. That single question, repeated enough, will filter out half of your suffering. And when you stop wasting effort on what you can't command, you'll find yourself achieving far more of what you can. Lesson 2. Build discipline, not motivation. Motivation is fleeting. Discipline is freedom. The Stoics didn't wake up every day feeling ready. They woke up ready to act regardless. Marcus Aurelius wrote to himself, "At dawn, when you have trouble getting out of bed, remind yourself, you are rising to do the work of a human being." That's discipline, not passion, not excitement, but the quiet commitment to act when you'd rather not. And that's where transformation happens. Motivation depends on mood. Discipline depends on decision. When you build your life on motivation, your progress becomes unstable. Good days lift you, bad days destroy you. But when you build on discipline, your growth becomes automatic, mechanical, reliable. In practice, This means keeping promises to yourself, even when nobody's watching. It means doing the workout when it's cold, reading when you'd rather scroll, saving money when spending feels better. Every act of discipline builds strength where motivation fades. Think of discipline as a muscle, one that grows every time you choose consistency over comfort. And like any muscle, it becomes your armor. When others burn out chasing inspiration, you'll still be moving forward, slow and steady. The Stoics called this prohairesis, the rational will, the ability to govern yourself from within. It's what makes you untouchable by circumstance. Because when discipline is your foundation, nothing external can shake your direction. The storms of life might blow, but your inner compass remains fixed. So stop waiting to feel ready. Act, train, create, repeat. You'll discover that the feeling you were waiting for arrives only after the action. That's the paradox of discipline and the secret of unstoppable progress. Lesson 3. Stay calm in chaos. The Stoics believe that calmness is not weakness, it's strength under perfect control. Anyone can appear confident when the sun is shining, but real composure shows itself when everything begins to collapse. When the Roman Emperor Marcus Aurelius led his armies through war and plague, he didn't rely on optimism, he relied on perspective. He wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." That one sentence became his anchor in chaos. Today, our battles are different: emails, deadlines, arguments. But the need for calm is the same. When you allow panic to rule, you lose clarity. And without clarity, you make poor decisions. So the Stoic trains himself to slow down in the storm, to take one breath, one pause, before reacting. Calm doesn't mean emotionless. It means centered. It's the ability to feel everything without being overwhelmed by anything. It's what allows you to handle a crisis without losing your integrity or your focus. The next time something shakes you, a criticism, a failure, an unexpected problem, don't react instantly. Observe. See it as a test of your command over yourself. Ask, can I respond to this with reason instead of reflex? Because every moment of restraint adds to your strength. Over time, this calm becomes your signature. People will begin to notice that you don't flinch easily, that your silence carries weight, that your composure in crisis makes others trust you. And that's the kind of quiet dominance Stoicism teaches, not through aggression, but through control. To stay calm in chaos is to remain powerful in a world addicted to reaction. And when you learn to do that, life begins to bend toward your steadiness instead of your fear. Lesson 4. Detach from outcomes, attach to effort. The modern world is obsessed with results. Numbers, likes, followers, profits, awards. We live in a scoreboard culture, always comparing, always measuring, always wanting proof that what we're doing is working. But Stoicism cuts through that illusion with a single truth. You don't control the outcome, only the effort. Epictetus reminded his students, make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. In that line lies the formula for peace. You can plan, work, prepare, but the final result is never yours to command. The Stoic doesn't stop caring, he simply stops clinging. When you detach from outcomes, you begin to act from integrity instead of anxiety. You work because the work itself refines you. You train because training sharpens your mind. You create because expression is its own reward. Success becomes a byproduct, not a burden. This shift is subtle but life-changing. Most people live in tension, struggling between what they hope for and what is. They think peace will come once they get there. But as the Stoics teach, peace is found only in the doing, not the result. When your satisfaction depends on the outcome, you become a slave to chance. When it depends on your effort, you become free. In practical terms, this means measuring your days by your discipline, not your results. Did you show up? Did you stay true to your principles? Did you give your full attention to what mattered? If yes, then you've already won, no matter what the world says. Detach from the scoreboard. Fall in love with the process. And you'll notice something strange. When you stop forcing outcomes, better ones often appear on their own. Lesson 5. Choose virtue. Over-validation at the core of Stoicism is one timeless command. Be good, not admired. Modern life has flipped this upside down. We live in an era of performance, where appearance often matters more than integrity. But the Stoic understands that virtue, not validation, determines a life well lived. Marcus Aurelius put it simply, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Virtue, to him, was not moral decoration, it was strength. Because when you act from virtue, your peace no longer depends on others' approval. Think of how much energy people lose trying to look successful instead of being sincere. They curate their lives, posture for attention, twist their words to fit trends. And yet, behind all that, there's restlessness, because no amount of applause can fill the space left by a lack of integrity. Virtue simplifies everything. It frees you from the exhausting game of pleasing the world. It asks only one question: is this right? If the answer is yes, act. If no, don't. That simplicity builds a rare kind of confidence, the kind rooted in conscience. When you live virtuously, your presence starts to calm others. You stop competing for validation because you no longer need it. Your actions carry quiet power, your words gain weight, and your direction becomes clear. Seneca once said, "He who seeks wisdom is wise already. He who thinks he has found it is a fool." Virtue is the same. It's a pursuit, not a possession. Each day offers a new chance to choose honesty over ease, courage over comfort, discipline over indulgence. And as those choices stack, they forge a self so strong that validation becomes meaningless. The Stoic doesn't reject praise. He simply doesn't depend on it. He walks his path knowing that approval fades, but character endures. And when you start walking that way too, you'll notice something remarkable. The more you focus on being genuine, the more respect you naturally earn. Lesson 6. Protect your energy from distraction. In a world built to steal your attention, focus is a form of rebellion. The Stoics didn't have smartphones or social media, but they understood the danger of scattering one's mind. Seneca wrote, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." A divided mind cannot build anything lasting. Every time you check your phone, gossip, or chase trivial news, you spend the most precious currency you have, your focus. And unlike money, once focus is gone, it rarely returns in full strength. The Stoic trains himself to guard it like a fortress. Focus begins with awareness. Notice where your time leaks. Ask yourself daily, is this helping me grow or draining me? Most distractions disguise themselves as breaks, but what they really do is scatter your willpower. A Stoic life is not one of deprivation, it's one of intentionality. You decide what deserves your energy. Create sacred moments in your day where you disconnect completely. Walk without your phone. Read in silence. Journal your thoughts instead of reacting to the world's noise. Each of these small acts strengthens your capacity to stay centered amid chaos. The modern mind is overstimulated yet underdeveloped. We've traded depth for speed, awareness for urgency, reflection for reaction. The Stoic reverses that. He moves slower, but with precision. He speaks less, but with intention. He works deeply, then rests deeply. Guard your energy, because every distraction you entertain pulls you further from the life you're trying to build. And when you start living with deliberate focus, something incredible happens. Time seems to expand. You get more done, think more clearly, and feel more alive. That's the paradox of focus. When you stop trying to do everything, you finally start doing the right things. Lesson 7. Master your emotions before they master you. The Stoics never said emotions were bad. They said being ruled by them was. Anger, fear, jealousy, pride, all are natural visitors of the mind. But the Stoic doesn't hand them the keys. Epictetus compared the mind to a fortress. He said that anger and fear are like enemy scouts, testing your defenses. If you open the gates without question, they'll rush in and take control. But if you stand guard, if you pause, if you question what you feel, the enemy turns back. Emotional mastery begins not with suppression, but with understanding. When something makes you angry, ask, what exactly am I reacting to? Is it the event itself, or my expectation of it? Often, it's not the thing that hurts. It's the story we attach to it. That person didn't disrespect you. They simply acted according to their nature. That delay didn't ruin your plan. It revealed your impatience. Every emotion contains a message if you're calm enough to read it. The Stoics practice this through self-observation. Marcus Aurelius would journal his reactions each night, not to judge himself, but to understand them. He knew that awareness weakens the grip of impulse. And over time, this practice builds a kind of inner power, the power to respond instead of react, to act with reason instead of rage. In daily life, this means noticing when your body tightens, your voice sharpens, your breathing quickens. That's your cue to pause, to take one breath. Because the gap between stimulus and response is where freedom lives, and once you master that gap, you'll find that nothing external can truly command your peace. The Stoics' calm isn't indifference, it's dominance. Dominance over the only kingdom that matters, the self. When you stop being at the mercy of your emotions, you stop being at the mercy of the world. Lesson 8. Embrace discomfort as a teacher. The Stoics trained themselves to welcome hardship, not for suffering's sake, but for strength's sake. Seneca wrote, "Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body." Modern life teaches us to chase comfort, to avoid pain, to engineer convenience. But comfort is a poor teacher. Think of every growth you've ever experienced. It began in discomfort. The first workout that burned your lungs, the first failure that bruised your pride, the first silence that forced you to face yourself. Each was a test, and each left you stronger if you stayed long enough to learn. The Stoics practiced voluntary hardship to build resilience. They would sleep on the ground fast or wear simple clothing, not to punish themselves, but to remind the mind that luxury is optional. Because once you realize you can endure more than you thought, fear loses its grip. When you're no longer terrified of discomfort, you become unstoppable. Apply this to your daily life. Take cold showers. Speak the truth even when it's awkward. Sit with boredom instead of reaching for distraction. Each act of chosen difficulty is a rep for your spirit. And over time, that spirit becomes unbreakable. Discomfort sharpens focus, it builds gratitude, it strips away excess. When you stop running from it, you begin to see it for what it really is, a mirror showing you where you still need to grow. The world will always throw unexpected challenges your way. That's beyond your control. But your ability to meet them with courage, grace, and composure, that's entirely yours. So, embrace the hard things. They are not interruptions to your path. They are the path. Lesson 9. Live by principles, not by mood. A man ruled by his moods is unpredictable. A man ruled by his principles is unshakable. The Stoics lived by laws they wrote for themselves, laws of reason, integrity, and courage. While others drifted with emotion, they stood rooted in consistency. Marcus Aurelius faced betrayal, war, and illness, yet his writings reveal the same calm voice throughout, because his actions weren't dictated by feelings, but by philosophy. Modern life worships emotion. We're told to follow our feelings, to trust our gut. But feelings are weather. They change hourly. Principles are the mountains beneath that weather. They give structure when everything else is shifting. Ask yourself, what do I stand for when it's inconvenient? Do I tell the truth only when it costs me nothing? Do I stay disciplined only when I feel inspired? The Stoic answers these questions through practice, not theory. He defines his code and he lives it daily. Your principles might be simple. Work hard. Speak honestly. Stay calm. But live them absolutely, because every time you honor your word to yourself, your self-respect grows, and every time you betray it, your power diminishes. In this way, principles are not restrictions. They are freedom. They remove the need for endless decision-making. You don't ask, should I do this? You already know. The answer is written in your code. As Epictetus taught, first say to yourself what you would be, then do what you have to do. That's how you live aligned, with purpose, not impulse. And when you walk through the world with that level of integrity, you don't chase balance. Balance follows you. Lesson 10. Learn the power of solitude. The Stoics valued solitude not as isolation, but as restoration. In the quiet, they found their strength returning. Seneca wrote, "If you want to be loved, love yourself." And how can you love yourself if you never meet yourself in silence? Solitude is not loneliness. It is clarity. It's the space where you stop performing for the world and start hearing your own voice again. Most people fill every empty moment with noise, music, messages, chatter, because silence confronts them with their truth. But a Stoic welcomes that confrontation. He knows that time spent alone is time spent sharpening the mind. In solitude, you remember what matters. You notice the patterns of your thoughts. You see how much energy you waste on what's trivial. And slowly, you realign with your deeper values. It's in these quiet hours that the greatest growth happens, not in applause, not in company, but in the stillness of your own presence. Make solitude part of your discipline. Turn your phone off for an hour a day. Walk without music. Sit with your thoughts until they settle. Let boredom become the gateway to creativity. In that stillness, the noise of the world fades, and what remains is your essence, unshaken, self-aware, capable of genuine peace. Marcus Aurelius ruled millions, yet he wrote in his journal every night, alone, to remind himself, "You are just a man guided by reason, answerable to your own conscience." Solitude gave him balance amid chaos. It can do the same for you. When you master solitude, you stop fearing being alone. because you realize you are never truly alone. You are always in your own company. And if that company is grounded, disciplined, and content, everything else begins to fall into place. Lesson 11. Remember death, so you can truly live. The Stoics often meditated on death, not morbidly, but honestly. Memento mori. Remember that you must die. It wasn't pessimism, it was perspective. They understood that awareness of mortality strips away the trivial and reveals what's essential. Marcus Aurelius would remind himself each morning, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. That single thought turned every day into something sacred. When you remember that time is limited, pettiness fades. You stop wasting hours on grudges, gossip, and comparison. You stop chasing validation from people who won't even remember your name in a decade. Instead, you start living with urgency, clarity, purpose. Each sunrise becomes a gift, not a guarantee. Most people live as if they have infinite tomorrows. They postpone what matters, gratitude, forgiveness, courage, until it's convenient. But the Stoic sees every day as a full life in itself. He asks, if this were my last day, would I be proud of how I'm spending it? And then he acts accordingly. You don't need fear to motivate you, only awareness. Awareness that your time is precious. Awareness that each breath is borrowed. That truth doesn't depress you. It liberates you. It pushes you to stop waiting for the perfect time and start living now. So remember death often. Let it humble you, sharpen you, focus you, not as a shadow, but as a teacher, whispering, this moment is enough. Use it well. When you live with that mindset, every small act gains meaning. A walk, a meal, a conversation. They stop being routine and start being sacred. And ironically, by remembering you will die, you begin, finally, to live. Lesson 12. Align with nature and flow with life. At the heart of Stoicism lies one final lesson, harmony. The Stoics believe that peace comes from living in agreement with nature, accepting life as it is, not as you wish it to be. They saw the universe as a vast, intelligent order in which everything has its place, including you. When you resist life, you suffer. When you flow with it, you find peace. This doesn't mean passivity. It means cooperation with reality. Marcus Aurelius wrote, the universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. You can't stop the tides of change, but you can learn to surf them. To live in harmony with nature is to live honestly, to wake when the sun rises, to rest when it sets, to eat when hungry, to work with purpose, to speak with truth. It's to stop fighting the rhythm of existence and instead move with it, gracefully, deliberately, gratefully. When setbacks come, the Stoic doesn't curse fate. He adapts. He asks, what can this teach me? He sees obstacles not as punishments, but as invitations to grow. This acceptance transforms frustration into wisdom and turns adversity into fuel. To align with life is to stop trying to control what you never could and to start participating fully in what you can. It's to understand that you're not the center of the universe. You're a thread in its vast tapestry. And your task is simple, to weave your part with excellence. When you stop resisting what is, the world softens. People stop feeling like enemies. Circumstances stop feeling like curses. You begin to see the beauty in impermanence, the grace in change, the peace in surrender. That's the final Stoic truth. When you align yourself with nature, your own nature and the world's, you stop fighting life, and life begins to move with you. Conclusion: the sculpted life. All 12 lessons point toward one truth. Mastery of the self precedes mastery of the world. When you focus on yourself, your thoughts, your discipline, your peace, everything else begins to organize around that stillness. The Stoics didn't seek control over fate. They sought control over response. They didn't chase luxury or fame. They built character strong enough to remain steady through both fortune and loss. In 2026 and beyond, the world will keep shifting, technology, politics, people, all of it. But Stoic strength is timeless. It doesn't depend on trends, it depends on truth. And the truth is this: you already have everything you need to build a powerful life. You just need to stop scattering your energy outward and turn it inward, where peace, power, and purpose are waiting. Focus on yourself. Build your discipline. Protect your mind. Act with virtue. And life will begin to align around the order you've created within, not instantly, not magically, but naturally. Because when you become grounded, the world can't shake you. When you become calm, chaos loses its grip. And when you master yourself, everything else finally begins to fall into place. This has been sculpted grace, where philosophy meets discipline and where timeless wisdom becomes daily practice.